Hey, hey. Hi, guys. All right. So we got a part two out of this one only because of this very last card. I was like, oh, okay, let me see about this. If you didn't see part one, you'll want to check that out. There's a free link in the description box. You can watch it and then bounce back over here. But why? Um, they seem like they don't want to give an explanation or an apology on that. Is that the correct way to interpret that? Let me see. This is all about the big secret, right? Big secret that I said, are they going to be like explaining that? How are they going to handle that? We have a Six of Wands. We have a King of Wands. No, see, they just want to move forward into the next chapter of life. They really don't want to admit that the reason for all of the breadcrumbing, the reason for everything is the fact that they still hadn't um, ended a connection elsewhere. There was, and they don't want it, they don't feel like they owe an apology for that. They just want a new beginning. Let's just move on into the future. Let's just, now we can be so successful. It's going to be so great. It's you and me. Universe, do you want to weigh in on that? Because that seems like, I mean, that they're expecting to have a complete and utter like pass on what actually happened and all the breadcrumbing. They think coming in with a love offer now is going to be enough, and that all the secrets that they kept before, like, they don't really have to. I don't know that this person has changed very much in the way they think they can handle things. Nine of Wands. The universe is weighing in and saying, well, it's not for the universe to determine whether or not they can get away with this or whether or not that's right or wrong. It really depends on probably however the hermit is going to interpret this. What kind of grief, what kind of hurt did the hermit suffer because of their actions? It's kind of for the hermit to determine and weigh and measure whether or not the mask that they wore makes it impossible for the hermit to accept this person's love offer now. It isn't the universe's business. It's whatever the hermit wants to do about it. How much wounding was there? How much can the hermit weigh and measure and understand? Like, I get why you held back from me. They're not coming in sorry for the fact that they hid their, I'll say their problems, but they hid the fact that they were not out of some other connection. And I only say that because of the scythe. And in fact, this is actually the Nine of Wands, just like this card is. So we can say also that there was wounded energy surrounding the topic of a Four of Wands relationship. If they were saying, I wasn't ready to be in a relationship and give my love to you then, and one of the big secrets that I was holding was, I had a lot of wounded energy surrounding a relationship that it's like they were trying to end while having some new cycle begin with a person that it had been a very contentious relationship with, lots of, sorrows. And maybe they were trying to say sorry to one of their, children, if they had kids beforehand, that, hey, I'm sorry that it didn't work out with, me and your mom or me and your dad. And they were hiding all that. That is their previous life, their previous issues. Yes, that is theirs to deal with. They're ending all of that. But I'm still not sure why they just didn't let the hermit person know what was going on. But the universe says, listen, it's not the universe's call to determine what's right, what's wrong, how they should have handled stuff. The only person that needs to be okay with it or determine if they're not okay with it is the hermit, who's now, after having been strung along, after having been confused, after having had secrets kept from them, after this character not giving to them, but now reemerging, wanting to give them an offer of love. Only the hermit has to determine whether or not that's going to be acceptable, whether or not they want to hold back from this person as this person held back from them once upon a time, whether or not if it hurt them to a degree that they're going to be unwilling to ever want to give to this person again. Now, toward the end of part one, we saw the hermit was more or less saying, if you're giving me a choice all of a sudden between dealing with somebody who gave me the illusion of we're going to be together. And then they strung me along. See, because I'm thinking that this person said, I want to marry you once upon a time to the hermit. And then instead, they either stopped giving to the hermit or they made things very confusing. It was very, very murky. We saw those cards in part one. It was a hot mess, right? This is what they come in as now. I want to give my love offer, but in the past, they made everything really confusing. 7 of Cups, Justice card, 8 of Swords. Let me hook you on my line, keep you on a line, not tell you what's going on. Here's the Moon, not tell you what's happening. Breadcrumb you, not show you my real face. They didn't even have a face on this Death card. And I don't know, this just feels like it was a lot of unnecessary turmoil instead of just coming clean. So the universe says, well, the hermit gets to decide whether or not they would want to give to this person again. Do they want to just let this person continue to wear a mask? What kind of a tree of life can be built with a character that still hasn't really, I mean, I guess they're going to be explaining this, but not with like an apologetic energy to it. So I don't know. I'm hung up on that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that our hermit person will be. I'm just kind of like, yikes, why cause the confusion, the breadcrumbing, and no explanation? The King of Cups. And again, this King of Cups has a moon for a head. Here's the thing. Even if this character is very much in love, by the way, they are coming in as a Queen of Swords in the beginning of part one. The way we started this story was they're coming in to give this dusty love offer finally. They give their whole heart finally. Now we see them as a King of Cups. It still has a moon head and only half of a moon head. I'm wondering if by nature they will always be the person who does not explain what's going on with them, even to the person that they love, which is a character trait that the hermit is going to have to figure out if that works for them. This is maybe their MO. When they have something that they're dealing with, they do not tell people the full story, even somebody that they're in love with, like they were in love with the hermit. Does that mean that their MO is to do somebody wrong? I don't know. They're the King of Cups in the upright. 6 of Cups. We saw that before in part one. We saw them saying, I'm not going to give to the person that I love right now, but I want to keep them stuck on me because I want to come back to them later because they're my soulmate. I want them later. We saw that in part one. I'm going to want to come back, but right now I'm not going to give them anything. So it's like this person goes out, they find what they want, and then they go, yeah, that's going to be what I want for later on. I'm not going to tell them why I'm not giving to them now, why I'm not investing now. I'm going to leave all that secretive. That's all my business to deal with. So I don't need to tell you anything. That wouldn't be a problem had they not tried to hook the hermit and keep the hermit attached to them while not telling the hermit truth. But again, what we see is that this person, even with people they love, they keep secrets. That is just the way they are. So that still brings us back around to what is the hermit going to do about this when this person finally comes back in and tells the hermit kind of what happens, but doesn't seem to really even recognize that maybe that's not cool. Page of Cups. Again, that topic of an apology is kind of what's here. And you notice that right now we have the mermaid, and we have the mermaid's got 2 faces, and one is looking back at the skeleton head, back at this face, and the other is looking to the future. This card can be apology. It can also be like a love offer. And you notice that the hermit seems to be stuck between, maybe nobody's perfect. Maybe this is this character's MO. Maybe they do just keep stuff too close to their chest. Even if they loved me, if they couldn't offer me anything, they weren't going to, but they wanted to be with me, but they still had other things to clean up. They keep it secret. But what do I do about this? This secrecy, this thing from the past, is this going to bother me? I loved them then. Maybe I love them even now. They loved me then. They love me now. But this is who they are. So do I take somebody as they are? I I don't know, man. That's a weird one because I'm like, yeah, but they got the hermit hooked on him and intentionally played mysterious games. Are we not going to address that? I'm having a hard time with this one because I feel like we're sidestepping a really important aspect. The Tower, I guess, if the hermit can let it go, the World card. If the hermit can let it go and have a new beginning, okay. I would have a real issue with that personally. I don't see how you just sidestep the way things were handled, and with intention they were handled in a murky, deceptive manner. We have the Strength card upright. Again, if the strength of this bond is so big, and if the hermit person wants to say yes to them, the part that's really catching me and confusing me is that we saw the hermit going like, oh man, I don't want anybody who plays games with me. I'm going to, disappear, and I would rather run away from this ice cold experience that I had. But we did also see in part one, they were saying, yeah, but now it's you and me. Now I can give to you completely. We can be together. This is the new beginning. Would you give me a brand new start with you? I mean, in the past, I didn't tell you, but I was still closing out a relationship. But now I'm 100% like, now I can be all yours. I'm just thinking, wow, that's quite a remarkable ability for somebody to do everything deceptive in the past, then come back in and just get a brand new beginning. Clean slate, no more questions asked. Here I am, doesn't matter what I did in the past. And then it's suggesting that the hermit is just supposed to say, well, that's just kind of how they are, but we're soulmates. Yeah, they'll always be somebody that I can't expect will tell me truth. They'll always keep secrets. But, that's how it is. And if the bond is strong enough and I want a new beginning with them, and if I'm strong enough to just deal with the fact that, hey, this is who this person is, they'll always be a secret keeper. They don't really apologize for being who they are. Um, cool. And the bottom line is, if that is okay with the character, absolutely, that could work. Let me just ask, realistically, will that work for these two? Ace of Wands. Maybe they both get off on this. I don't know. Maybe there is like an element of, no matter what happens, I know that you always want me, even if you've been spying on me all this time. Maybe the hermit's going to be like kind of secretly thrilled by this and be like, so all this time you wanted me while that's why you tried to keep me hooked. I don't know. This kind of feels like, look, I am not saying I like this story. In fact, this is one of the toughest stories I've ever had to tell, because I'm like, whoa, every card makes me like wince. That's just me. Doesn't mean I'm right. But these are the cards we got. And it says the hermit might think it's a bit of a turn on. So all this time they really wanted me, even though and that's why they were trying to keep me, because they didn't want to let me go. And they thought since they couldn't give me anything at that point in time, but they didn't want to let me go. See, I think this person basically must have made some big overtures, like, you and me were going to be married. And then they like more or less disappeared because they were still unraveling some other storyline in their life. And it left it really confusing for this hermit person, who then told them off, got fed up and moved on. But now as they come back in and they have this big reveal, like, oh, it's always been you. I was always going to come back to you. Now I can be with you 100%. Let's be together. It almost feels like, despite everything that's gone on, it's kind of like the hermit is saying, well, it is kind of hot that you always, kept an eye on me, that you always kind of spied on me, that you always still wanted me. We got the hermit, we got the Empress. We have the Wheel of Fortune with the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. I said, could this realistically work? Honestly, for some reason, it seems like in this storyline, if it's going to make the hermit feel somehow very special, like, okay, but you did choose me, even though you hid stuff from me lied to me, but I was the one you wanted, but all this time passes and now here you are to give me the world. So it was just that it was right person, wrong time. Here's the fatal flaw in this. The Hermit can tell themselves that all day long, but we still have a 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. That says we are not going to have harmony with this duo. As much as they are going to go ahead and it can be rationalized and it can be, appealing in different ways. And it can be, oh, it was right. We were supposed to be together. It was just the wrong time for us. No, we have the Star in the reverse and the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. This is, I don't know if I'm going to put this storyline out, even though I've invested so much time in telling it. This says no. These two are not good together. They will never be good together because this whole thing is kind of a rotten apple. This is not a wish fulfillment. This is not a good situation. This is not the way. It almost hints that there will always be a simmering underlying thing that could come back and bite them. It could be the fact that the Hermit will still somehow feel disrespected in the back of their mind, and they won't want to give. They'll be like, okay, yeah, I'll be with you. But you know what? Since you did that, even though now I know you really wanted to be with me, but you played all these games with me, but I want to be with you still also. So I'm going to try to rewrite history in my mind, but I'm going to punish you every day for the rest of our lives together. I don't ever have to give as much as you do because once upon a time you didn't give to me. That is not going to be good for either of them. That is not a wish fulfillment. That is not an equitable relationship. They're going to start out under this guise of, okay, yeah, you do want to be with me. You always did. Now I feel good about that. Except, wait a minute. I don't owe you as much as you owe me because at one time that you hid stuff from me, weren't there for me, abandoned me, and left me on your fishing line hook. I'll never have to give you as much as what you have to give to me to make it up to me. I don't see how that's going to be a good vibe for that Hermit to live in that energy of, but you owe me and I don't have to give as much. Because a relationship only works if two people really have the trust built and they really can have an equal relationship. 3 of Cups sideways. There might also even be a get out of jail free card. Like the Hermit files it away and says, but if I ever meet somebody else, I can cheat if I wanted to. I always will believe that maybe you might have somebody else on the side because, hey, you had me on the side back when you were trying to supposedly end another connection. And now here we are together, but I'll never really believe that you're truly committed to me because I know that I'm dealing with somebody who hides stuff. But it's flattering that you wanted me all this time, that I was your secret side dish that you longed for. And now I can kind of say, if I meet somebody else, guess what? I could go someplace else. But then deep down, it's like, oh, but you might also. I don't see the trust between these two at all. I see this is probably the most unhealthy cycle I've ever seen. Like, it just does not look good for these two to be together. 7 of Pentacles, and it might take them years to figure this out. We got the head spinning, right? It's a music box going round and round and round. 7 of Pentacles is supposed to be a cycle of the harvest, but sometimes the harvest is all I've harvested is more confusion. If these two get back together, they may more or less just wreck each other's peace. I don't know. I don't see how this would be successful together. I can understand why they would try it. I can understand why there was be a wish for this, but it almost seems like so much has been handled so wrong. I don't know. If there's not genuine forgiveness and everything here, then I don't see how they're going to be successful together. Sorry, that's such a tough one. Okay, I'm going to leave that there.